Welcome back, horror fans, and one of the things that has always been a problem for horror games is translating to film. And that's for video games in general. Other than, say, Sonic the Hedgehog and Super Mario Brothers, most video game movies don't do very well. And there's two reasons for that. One, they try to do something too different to broaden the audience and increase the revenue. Then the core fans hate it and they won't go. Or they stay too true to the game and it has no mass appeal, and then no one else goes. And so you've seen that in different ways. You've seen that with trying to stay really close to the film, like Silent Hill, and no one went. And you saw that with, say, games like Doom and Resident Evil, where they changed a shit ton, but they still just went meh. And sometimes that's just the problem, is getting a video game to the big screen. But one of the things that was very interesting is what started this whole down the rabbit hole, me doing my Charlie Day, like trying to tie things together. And that is this. On March 2nd of 2023, Dead by Daylight decided to join forces with Jason Blum's Blumhouse Pictures, and they're going to make a Dead by Daylight movie, presumably coming in 2024. Now, of course, this is probably a mutually beneficial deal with Blumhouse and Behavior, where Blumhouse has another big franchise dropping this October, and that's Five Nights at Freddy, another video game franchise that they could bring to, say, Dead by Daylight. But we have a Dead by Daylight franchise coming to the big screen, and this is very interesting to see how this all plays out, because I was wondering how they would do this. I mean, sure, we have some really great characters and we can build a story, but there was nothing that made me think that people who don't play Dead by Daylight would go see this film until this happened.
Dead by Daylight, I mean, how does this happen?
Well, it's a museum of horror, right?
Yes.
And when I make movies, one of my favorite genres is horror. And in this, and in that genre, there's a character, a murderous ghost named Sadako, who I think is amazing. And she made an appearance in this game, so that was good enough for me.
Okay. That's what, yeah, I mean, that's what's fun, is you're playing one of the survivors in this game, and it's cool that, you know, it really is this museum of horror. Michael Myers, you said, all these different characters all coming together. And you play yourself, or who do you play? So
I play this heightened, exaggerated version of a film actor named Nick Cage. And he's going to a location thinking he's making a movie, and instead he wakes up in the fog. And in the fog, he's surrounded by crows and serial killers, and it's rather amusing. And there's something about it that I think, as a survivor, is like a bonding experience. It's a bit like hide and go seek. You have your three other teammates who are survivors with you, and it's teamwork. You're working together to pull through, and I like that. And so that was a large reason for wanting to do it as well, that feeling of bonding with your friends.
That's right. Nicolas Cage drops on July 25th in Dead by Daylight, and will have his own unique lore, his own exaggerated version, as he said, as a film actor showing up to what he thinks is going to be a horror movie and then pulled into the fog. And this is your story. This is your movie right here. Nick Cage is a beloved film actor who has done tons and tons of movies, and this can't help me but think of another amazing Nick Cage film, The Unbearable Weight of Immeasurable Talent. And the reason this makes me think of it so much is it's an exaggerated version of Nick Cage. In that case, he ended up being like an action star and a spy, and it just got wild, but it was an exaggerated version of himself. Multiple exaggerated versions of himself, actually. And that's perfect for what we're seeing in the build up to the Dead by Daylight movie. So he drops on July 25th as a survivor of a version of Nick Cage drug into the fog. And this is your movie right here. You have Nick lead the cast, be the centerpiece. You build that rapport with the gaming crew. So people get to play as Nick Cage for months and months and months before we even going to hear initial casting details. Now, once Five Nights at Freddy drops in October for Blumhouse, and even if there is something they're doing with Dead by Daylight, it sets up the perfect timing. Then, say, November, maybe even December, or early in 2024, you start announcing the cast. And of course, you're going to probably have some lesser-known actors play some of the more familiar Dead by Daylight characters, like Dwight, or David, or Claudette, or Nia, or Meg, or Fang, or whomever you're bringing from the fog, as well as whichever killer you're bringing for the trials. But it's all built around Nick. And Nick not only plays the character in the game, he plays that exact version of the character in the film, and the film writes itself. You then have the gamers are happy who've been playing as a Nick Cage character for, 6-9 months, a year before the film even drops. And then you have the mass appeal that Nick brings with him to other films. And that kind of helps spread this out into a brand new genre of film, and it's actually a really, really, really strong move. And I love the way they're doing this. You couldn't write a better path for Dead by Daylight. Like, I don't know who came up with this, if this was Jason Blum's idea and they pitched it or what, but this just sets up a mass appeal for Dead by Daylight in the film industry. I've seen this going the other way as well. A lot of people who don't play Dead by Daylight are actually intrigued in playing Dead by Daylight because of Nick Cage coming. So when he's the centerpiece of the movie, it's going to make a lot of sense. And this, what seems like a very bizarre move now for some people, will become the centerpiece of Blumhouse's Dead by Daylight movie. Now, I know I'm probably pulling at strings, I'm trying to tie things together, but this is the only thing that makes complete and perfect sense to me. And as a player who plays Dead by Daylight, I was ecstatic that we're going to get Nicolas Cage. But in big picture, this makes so much more sense. And as the way the announcements have gone, you can kind of see the path they're taking, and I couldn't be happier. What do you think? Am I being just like I said, am I just being grasping at straws and you don't think this is all one big fell swoop by behavior and Blumhouse? Or do you think we're actually seeing exactly what I'm seeing too? Is that this makes way too much sense on multiple fronts when it comes to the Dead by Daylight movie? I always want to hear your thoughts. As always, thank you for watching and you stay groovy.